Have you ever wished you could just draw a new life for yourself? For 16-year-old Arjun, that wasn't just a fantasy. It was a desperate dream. Living in a tiny, crumbling house at the end of a narrow street, life was a constant struggle. His father was long gone, and his mother worked tirelessly, washing clothes day and night just to put food on their table. Every day, Arjun walked to school in the same faded shirt and torn shoes, his old bag slung over his shoulder. Inside, he carried his most prized possession, a notebook filled with drawings. Drawing was his sanctuary, a place where he could escape the gnawing hunger and the sting of loneliness. With a pencil in his hand, he could conjure up majestic mountains and powerful kings, worlds far removed from his own reality. But the real world was cruel. At school, he was the primary target for a group of rich boys, Ravi, Samir, and Karan. They relentlessly bullied him, mocking his patched clothes and calling him hurtful names. One afternoon, their cruelty reached a new height. Ravi snatched Arjun's precious notebook, waving it in the air for everyone to see. "Look at this," he jeered, his voice dripping with contempt. "The poor artist draws mountains and kings but can't even afford a proper lunch." The other students erupted in laughter. Samir, fueled by the crowd's reaction, tore a page from the notebook and threw it to the ground. "Maybe he draws food because he can't afford any," he shouted. Arjun stood frozen, his heart clenching as he fought back tears. Karan then gave him a slight push. "Why don't you draw yourself a new life, poor boy?" They sauntered away, leaving Arjun on his knees, his spirit as tattered as the torn drawings he carefully picked up from the dusty floor. That evening, the sadness was a heavy cloud around him. His mother, her hands raw from a long day's work, noticed his downcast eyes. "What happened, Arjun?" she asked, her voice soft with concern. He forced a weak smile, not wanting to add his burdens to her own. "Nothing, Ma. Just a bad day," he lied, hiding his pain behind a brave face. The weight of his world felt unbearable, but he didn't know that a flicker of magic was just around the corner, waiting to find him. The next day, a rain shower had washed the world clean. Walking home, Arjun decided to take a shortcut through the old market, a place he usually avoided. The wet ground shimmered under the afternoon sun. As he navigated the crowded lane, a shop he'd never noticed before caught his eye. A weathered sign hung above the door, reading, "Old Treasures, Everything Has a Story." A strange pull of curiosity led him inside. The air was still and thick with the scent of dust and time. The shop was a chaotic museum of forgotten things, old clocks that had stopped ticking, books with cracked spines, and paintings with faded memories. His gaze was drawn to a single object resting on a high shelf, a black pencil, intricately detailed with shimmering golden carvings. It looked ancient yet untouched, radiating a mysterious energy. An old man with kind eyes and a gentle smile appeared from behind the counter. He followed Arjun's gaze. "That pencil," the man said, his voice a soft, knowing whisper, "is not an ordinary one. It's special. Whatever you draw with it will come true." Arjun blinked, a disbelieving laugh almost escaping his lips. "Come true," he repeated, the idea sounding like a children's fairy tale. The old man simply nodded, his expression serious. "But you must remember, boy, use it wisely. Not every dream is meant to be real." Arjun's heart sank a little. He knew he couldn't afford such a magnificent object. "I don't have any money to buy it," he admitted quietly. The old man's smile returned, warmer this time. "Then it is yours for free," he said. "Just promise me one thing. Don't draw out of greed." Overwhelmed with gratitude and a dizzying sense of wonder, Arjun thanked him profusely. He clutched the pencil tightly in his pocket and ran all the way home, his heart pounding with a wild, unbelievable hope. His life was about to change forever. That night, long after his mother had fallen into an exhausted sleep, Arjun sat at his small, rickety table. He pulled out the magical pencil. It felt warm in his hand, almost as if it were alive, humming with a secret power. He smoothed out a blank sheet of paper, his hand trembling slightly. What should he draw? His stomach rumbled, giving him an idea. Carefully, he began to sketch an apple. He drew its round shape, its delicate stem, and added shading to make it look shiny and perfect. The moment he lifted the pencil after drawing the final line, the paper began to glow with a soft, golden light. Arjun jumped back, his eyes wide with astonishment. Right before his very eyes, a real, physical apple rolled out from the glowing illustration and onto the wooden table. He stared, completely spellbound. Tentatively, he reached out and picked it up. It felt solid. He brought it to his nose and inhaled its sweet, fresh scent. Then he took a bite. The flavor exploded in his mouth, crisp, sweet, and unbelievably juicy. It was real. Tears of joy and disbelief streamed down his face. For the first time in his life, magic had found its way into his small, poor world, and it had tasted like hope. The next morning, a new energy coursed through Arjun. He drew a simple but hearty breakfast for his mother and him hot, fluffy bread and fresh fruit. The look of pure shock and delight on her face was a reward greater than any treasure. She didn't ask where it came from. She just saw her son smiling, truly smiling, and that was enough. At school, the magical pencil remained his secret, tucked away safely. He didn't want revenge. He just wanted peace. When Ravi and his friends approached him, ready for their daily dose of torment, Arjun did something unexpected. He pulled out a fresh sheet of paper and quickly drew a small, intricate toy car. It materialized on his desk, a perfect miniature replica. He slid it across the table towards Ravi. "Here," he said calmly. "I drew it for you." The bullies were stunned into silence. They looked from the toy car to Arjun, their faces a mixture of confusion and awe. They had no idea how he'd done it. And for the first time, they looked at him not with scorn, but with a flicker of respect. They left him alone for the rest of the day. Word of Arjun's incredible talent started to spread. He became known as the boy who could create anything. He drew new shoes for himself, not fancy ones, but sturdy ones that didn't have holes. He drew warm blankets for the cold nights and repaired their leaking roof with a sketch of new tiles. His life, and his mother's, was slowly transforming. He drew colorful storybooks for the neighborhood children and new tools for the local carpenter. He never drew for wealth or power, always remembering the old man's warning. He drew to help, to fix, to bring small joys to those who had little. He was no longer the poor boy. He was Arjun, the artist who brought wonders to life. But Arjun knew that the pencil's magic wasn't the final answer. It was a gift, a tool that had shown him what was possible. It had given him confidence and a voice. He started spending more time honing his natural drawing skills, the ones he'd always had. He learned about color, perspective, and form. His art, even without the magic, became more vibrant and full of life. One day, the town announced an art competition with a grand prize, a full scholarship to a prestigious art academy in the city. This was his chance. This was the dream he had to earn for himself. For weeks, he worked on his masterpiece. He chose not to use the magical pencil. He wanted to win on his own merit. He poured all his emotions, his past struggles, his newfound hope, his love for his mother onto the canvas. He painted a picture of his small town, not as a place of poverty, but as a community filled with hidden strength and quiet beauty. On the day of the competition, his painting stood among many others. When the judges announced the winner, he could barely hear his own name over the beating of his heart. He had won. The scholarship was his. His mother cried tears of joy, hugging him tightly. He had drawn himself a new life, not with a magical pencil, but with his own hands, his own talent, and his own heart. The magic pencil had opened a door, but he was the one who had bravely walked through it. As he prepared to leave for the city, he returned to the old market, hoping to thank the mysterious shopkeeper. But the shop was gone, as if it had never been there at all. Arjun smiled. He realized the greatest magic wasn't in the pencil. It was the belief in himself that the pencil had helped him find, and that was a magic he would carry with him forever. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold. If it moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales. We'd love to have you in our community. See you in the next video.